Can you help me save my sister's life? The poor boy pleaded, voice trembling, clutching a worn plastic bag with the last few crumpled dollars he had left, not knowing the man standing before him was the hospital owner. In the cold hallway of that bustling hospital, where hope and despair breathed side by side, his eyes filled with fear and love met the calm gaze of a man who held the power to save lives. But never expected a plea like this, especially from a poor boy whose entire world was his dying sister. He was just a desperate brother fighting for the only family he had left. But the man, wealthy, respected, untouchable, had a heart locked behind privilege and loss. And as the poor boy whispered again, "Please, she's all I have," unaware he stood before the hospital owner. The walls of wealth and poverty collided in raw, trembling humanity. But what could possibly make a powerful hospital owner freeze at such a plea? And why didn't the poor boy know the truth about the man who could change everything? And what happened next will shock everyone. The automatic glass doors of St. Brookside Medical Center slid open, letting in the sharp bite of winter air as Ethan Carter rushed inside, carrying his little sister Lily, wrapped in a fading pink blanket. Her breathing was shallow, each inhale a battle, each exhale a whisper of borrowed time. Ethan's arms trembled, not from her weight. She was only 8, but from fear. He had been running for blocks, running from fate, running toward hope. His sneakers, ripped and soaked from melting snow, squeaked across the polished floor. Nurses glanced his way, some with pity, others with the hardened eyes of professionals who'd seen too much. Ethan didn't care. He couldn't. All that mattered was Lily's tiny face pressed against his chest, skin fever-hot, lips pale as paper. "Please," he gasped, stumbling toward the reception desk. "My sister, she needs help. Please, she can't breathe, please." The receptionist's polished nails tapped the keyboard with mechanical calm. "Do you have insurance?" Ethan blinked. "Insurance?" His voice cracked. I don't, she's dying, please." Lily let out a weak cough. Barely a sound, but enough to turn heads. "We need a deposit then," the receptionist replied, tone clipped. "Minimum $6,000 for immediate admission." Ethan felt the floor tilt beneath him. 6,000? He didn't even have 60. He fumbled with the plastic bag in his hand, pulling out wrinkled bills. Ones, a few fives, coins that jingled like shame. I have this. I'll pay more, I'll work, I'll sweep floors, anything, just please help her." His voice echoed, raw, trembling, filled with the terrified love only a brother on the edge can carry. A few waiting patients looked away. Pain like this was hard to witness, harder to feel. Behind Ethan, a man in a charcoal coat paused mid-step. Dr. Samuel Pierce, mid-50s, dignified, poised, and unknowingly walking into a moment that would pierce his soul. Samuel was the owner of the hospital, a fact that rarely crossed his mind. He didn't flaunt power. He wore it like a silent crown. His life was built on marble floors, corporate meetings, and the haunting memory of a daughter he couldn't save years ago. He was on his way to a board meeting. The world expected precision, strength, poise from him. Vulnerability was a language he had buried with his little girl. But the plea, "Can you help me save my sister's life?" hit him like a memory reborn in pain. He paused, heart tight, eyes narrowing as he turned. Ethan didn't see him. He was too busy begging. "Sir, please," he cried to the receptionist. "She's my only family. My mom, she died last year. My dad left before that. I'll do anything. I just need someone to save my sister." His words shook, but his resolve did not. Lily's tiny hand lay limp against his chest. Her eyelids fluttered like wings losing strength. A nurse nearby whispered, "We should—" The receptionist cut in, "Policy is policy." Ethan fell to his knees, not for pity but for love. "I can't lose her, please." Silence wrapped around them, heavy, suffocating. Samuel stepped closer, his shoes barely making a sound. He remembered a small voice once saying, "Daddy, don't let them leave me." He remembered failing her, helpless, powerful, yet powerless where it mattered. He cleared his throat quietly, presence commanding. "What's happening here?" The receptionist straightened. "Sir, this boy cannot pay." Samuel's gaze fell to Lily, too pale, too fragile. The sight cracked something inside him, but instead of announcing who he was, he watched Ethan, watched faith trembling on the edge of despair. "Son," Samuel said gently, "how long has she been sick?" Ethan looked up, eyes glassy but burning with devotion. Since yesterday, she couldn't breathe. I tried everything. I walked here. Bus money went to medicine, but it didn't help. She kept saying she's tired, but she wants to stay with me. Please don't let my sister die, the lobby stilled. Humanity outweighed rules for a heartbeat. Samuel's jaw tightened. His heart, frozen for years, began to thaw dangerously, but he wasn't ready to reveal who he was. Not yet. Sometimes before power saves, it listens. Stand up, Samuel murmured, voice steady. Let's see what we can do. Ethan swallowed, rising slowly, clutching Lily like a shield against loss. Hope flickered, fragile, trembling, but alive. Behind Samuel's eyes something stirred, awakened by a poor boy's love and a plea he once whispered in another life. And destiny, quiet but relentless, took its first breath around them. The hallway lights flickered softly as orderlies rushed Lily toward the emergency ward. Ethan running beside the stretcher with tears streaming down his face, his trembling fingers clutching her hand like he feared she might drift away if he let go for even a second. He had never been inside a real hospital ward before, only looked through windows when his mom was sick, when he was too young to understand bills, paperwork, and the cruel mathematics of poverty. But today, every beep, every rushing nurse, every stretch of sterile hallway felt like a countdown. Samuel walked behind them, hands clasped behind his back, face unreadable, observing, weighing a decision bigger than policy, bigger than reputation, bigger than the cold rules that usually governed his world. He didn't announce himself as the owner, not yet. Something inside him wanted to see the truth before power stepped in, wanted to see the boy's heart without the shadow of privilege changing the story. A doctor approached, assessing Lily quickly. Severe respiratory distress. Oxygen level dropping. We need scans and labs now. Insurance? A nurse asked automatically. Samuel's eyes snapped toward her with quiet authority. Proceed. I'll handle authorizations. The tone, the certainty. People stepped back, confused but obedient. Only Ethan remained unaware of the man's influence, too consumed by fear to see anything beyond Lily's tiny fingers in his. They transferred Lily to a bed, nurses attaching oxygen, checking vitals, preparing emergency steroids. Ethan stood frozen, every muscle locked in a silent prayer. His chest ached with a fear deeper than childhood, fear born from losing too much. Too fast. He remembered his mother coughing in a dim apartment, pretending she wasn't too weak to stand, whispering promises she couldn't keep. I'll get better, baby. I promise. You and Lily will be okay. But she didn't get better, and after she was gone, he swore he would never fail Lily like the world failed them. She's fighting, a nurse murmured. Ethan wiped his eyes, whispering into Lily's hair. Please don't leave me. I'm right here. Samuel watched the way the boy held his sister like she was his life's purpose, and she was. That kind of love wasn't common in his world of polished table meetings and strategic decisions. His own daughter used to hold his hand like that. He used to think he had forever to make up for missed recitals, missed laughs, missed time, but forever had run out too soon. He turned away, throat tight. Emotions were dangerous. They reminded him he was still human. A junior doctor approached Ethan. Sir, we'll need a guardian signature for treatment. Ethan blinked. I'm 14. I don't have anyone else. All she has, the doctor paused, startled. 14, and carrying the weight of a world that crushed grown men. Then we'll need... I'll sign. Samuel interrupted quietly. Ethan finally looked at him, noticing him fully for the first time. Sir, you don't have to. I'll figure it out. I don't want trouble. Samuel knelt slightly to level with him. Son, right now nothing matters except getting your sister the help she needs. You did your part. Let us do ours, Ethan swallowed hard. Why are you helping us? A simple question. Heavy truth behind it, because once I begged too. Because once nobody listened soon enough. Because regret is a lifetime sentence. But Samuel only said, because she deserves a chance. Ethan's voice quivered. Thank you. 2 words full of every scraped knee, every empty night, every fear of losing the only family left. Nurses guided him to a chair. Sit, sweetheart, one whispered, motherly instinct kicking in. She's safe right now. Safe, such a fragile word. But for the first time today, it didn't feel like a lie. As they worked on Lily, Samuel stepped aside, pulling out his phone. Get Dr. Adrian Park in pediatrics, full respiratory panel, and notify accounting that all charges are transferred to my file. There was silence. Ethan sat hunched in the stiff hospital chair, hands clasped, his leg bouncing uncontrollably. The waiting room clock ticked in a way that felt cruel, every second stretching into an eternity. His heart hammered like it was trying to break free from his chest. Lily was somewhere past those double doors, so small, so fragile, fighting for breath, and he couldn't do anything. He had always been her protector, but right now he felt powerless, terrified, alone. Samuel stood a few feet away, arms crossed, gaze fixed on the corridor where the emergency team had gone. His posture was calm, but his eyes, quietly storming behind glasses, betrayed a memory cutting into the present. Hospitals had once been places of nightmares for him too, places where machines beeped until they didn't, where hope fought a losing battle, where a little girl with golden curls asked why Daddy was crying, moments before she slept and never woke again. He exhaled slowly, steadying himself. Today would be different. It had to be. Ethan's voice cracked through the silence. Sir, can you tell me something? Samuel turned. Of course. Do you think she'll live? Honesty hovered on the edge of grief. Samuel had lived long enough to know life made no promises. But staring into desperate young eyes that had already buried too much, he refused to let hopelessness win. She's getting help from the best doctors here, he said gently, choosing truth with hope threaded through it. And she's strong, Ethan, I saw that. Ethan nodded, trying to believe it. His throat tightened. I'm supposed to protect her, he whispered. I promised, Mom. Samuel's jaw flexed. A promise to a dying parent. That was a burden no child should ever carry. You brought her here. You did more than most adults would know how to do. Ethan looked down at his calloused hands. Sometimes I feel like I'm still just a kid. You are a kid, Samuel said quietly. But life forced you to grow too fast. For a moment they just breathed in the sterile air, the boy drowning in fear, the man drowning in memories. A nurse approached. Sir, we need you both for an update. Ethan shot up so fast his chair screeched. Is she okay? Did something happen? The nurse placed a hand on his shoulder. She's stable for now. We've started treatments, but we'll know more after scans. Ethan sagged forward in relief, tears slipping down. Stable. It wasn't victory, but it wasn't loss. It was hope. They followed the nurse down the hall. Lily lay in a small room, tiny chest rising and falling under oxygen tubes. Ethan rushed to her side, holding her hand carefully as if she might break. Hey, Lil, he whispered. I'm here. You're safe. Her eyelids fluttered just for a second, a flicker of life. It nearly brought Samuel to his knees. Doctors entered, reviewing charts. We suspect severe acute pneumonia, possibly bacterial. She'll need continuous oxygen, IV antibiotics, close monitoring. How long? Ethan asked. A few days if she responds well. And if she doesn't? His voice trembled. The doctor hesitated, softening his tone. We'll cross that bridge if we come to it. Ethan clutched Lily's hand harder as if sheer love could anchor her here. Please don't leave me again, he whispered, voice breaking. I can't lose you too. Samuel turned away, swallowing emotion. The rawness in this boy's words dug into him. He remembered pleading into sheets soaked with tears, promising his daughter a better life even as she slipped away. He had wealth, power, resources, and none of it had saved her. But maybe fate had given him this moment to make right what he once could not. The doctor cleared his throat. We'll need consent for continued treatment and tests. Samuel stepped forward, then stopped. This wasn't just paperwork. This was direction, choice, path. Before he spoke, Ethan beat him to it. I'll sign, the boy said quietly. Samuel blinked. Ethan, this is my sister, Ethan said, voice trembling but resolute. I don't know how yet, but I'll pay whatever it costs. I'll work forever if I have to. Just don't stop helping her. The room fell silent. His voice, small but fierce, carried the weight of love that refused to surrender. Samuel felt his chest tighten. This boy, poor, young, frightened, stood taller in spirit than most men Samuel had met in boardrooms lined with suits and ego. He gently put a hand on Ethan's shoulder. You won't do this alone. His voice was firm, steady, a vow forming in its marrow. I will help her. Ethan blinked rapid tears. Why? He whispered again. You don't even know us. People don't do things like this. Samuel could have said many things. Duty, ethics, humanity. But none carried the truth the way his heart did. Sometimes, he murmured, voice soft but aching, God brings someone into your life not by accident, but to give you a chance to do what you couldn't before. Ethan didn't fully understand, but he felt it. Felt the sincerity. Felt the weight of something shifting, like the universe had cracked open a door for them. Just then, Lily stirred, weakly squeezing Ethan's fingers. His breath hitched, joy and fear colliding in his chest. Samuel closed his eyes briefly, whispering a silent promise to a little girl he once lost. Let me save this one. When he opened them again, resolve burned in his gaze. This wasn't charity. This wasn't pity. This was fate, and fate was just beginning to turn its pages. Morning sunlight bled slowly through the blinds of Lily's hospital room, painting gentle gold lines across her small figure. Machines hummed, oxygen whispered, and the world outside continued its loud, indifferent pace. But inside this room, time moved with fragile breaths and quiet prayers. Ethan had not slept. His head rested on the edge of the bed, fingers still wrapped around Lily's hand. He looked young like this, just a boy who should have been worrying about homework and playground games, not hospital bills and life-or-death battles. A blanket the nurses gave him fell loosely over his shoulders, hardly warming the exhaustion carved into him. His eyes fluttered open as the shift nurse entered. Morning, sweetheart, she whispered. She had a pretty stable night. Those words, stable night, felt like a miracle. Ethan sat up, rubbing at tired eyes. Thank you. Thank you so much. She smiled, brushing a strand of hair from Lily's forehead. She's a fighter. Just like you. He looked down, embarrassed by praise he felt he didn't deserve. Fighting felt like surviving. Surviving felt like barely hanging on, and yet, here they were. The door slid open again. Samuel entered, not in a suit this time, but in a simple sweater and coat. Less powerful looking, more human. Ethan noticed faint dark circles beneath the man's eyes too. Maybe neither of them had slept. Good morning, Samuel murmured softly. Oh, Ethan jumped up. Sir, thank you. For yesterday. I don't know how I'd have... Samuel raised a gentle hand. You don't need to thank me, but Ethan needed to. Gratitude was all he had except love and fear. People don't help like that, he insisted quietly. Not for someone like us. A flicker, pain, or defensiveness passed through Samuel's eyes. Kindness shouldn't have a price tag or a category, he said softly. And yesterday you didn't ask for charity. You asked for help to save someone you love. Ethan swallowed hard. No one had ever framed his desperation as courage before. Samuel stepped toward the bed, looking at Lily. How is she? Better, they said. A little. Ethan's voice wavered between hope and terror. But they're still doing tests. Samuel nodded, eyes softening with some silent memory. Good, she's in good hands. There was something else beneath the words. Something heavy. Ethan had seen it already. The shadow in Samuel's gaze when he looked at Lily. Grief, maybe, or regret. The kind adults tried to bury with expensive suits and calm voices. Before Ethan could ask, a nurse entered with clipped efficiency. Dr. Pierce, board is asking if you're still joining rounds this morning. Ethan blinked. Board, doctor? He looked at Samuel, confusion knitting his brows. Samuel hesitated, caught. Tell them I'll be there shortly. The nurse nodded and left. Ethan stared at him. Doctor, board? His voice was small but sharp with curiosity. Samuel inhaled slowly. He had known this moment was coming. Ethan, there's something I should tell you. Ethan's heart stalled, fear flickering in his chest. You're not going to stop helping us, are you? No, Samuel said quickly, firmly. Never. Relief washed through the boy's face like warm light. Samuel continued quietly. I'm not just a doctor here. I'm the owner of the hospital. Silence cut the air. Ethan blinked once, twice. You own this hospital? Yes. The truth hit him like cold water. All the halls he'd walked nervously through yesterday. The place he had begged for mercy. And this man had been the one person who could grant it without permission. Ethan's knees buckled slightly. shock, confusion, and awe tangling in his chest. "Why didn't you say anything?" Samuel paused, a long, heavy pause. "Because sometimes people don't speak freely when they know who I am. I wanted to see who you were without knowing who I was." "And what did you see?" Ethan whispered. Samuel sighed, eyes warming. "A brother whose love is bigger than fear. Bigger than pride. Bigger than laws and limits. A boy who deserves help not because he begged, but because he refused to give up." Ethan stared at him, stunned. I didn't want anything for me. Just her. She's everything." "I know," Samuel murmured. "And you reminded me of something I lost a long time ago." The sadness that flashed across his face was raw enough to silence Ethan's next question. Lily stirred faintly, and their attention snapped back to her. Samuel leaned closer, voice barely above breath. "Fight, little one. You have someone who needs you." Ethan looked at him, tears forming again, not from pain this time, but from something unfamiliar, something warm, hope, maybe even trust. "You're not like other rich people," he said quietly. Samuel gave a sad, almost painful smile. "I used to be." Ethan didn't fully understand, but he would. A doctor entered. "We have preliminary results. Can we talk?" Ethan's stomach twisted. Samuel's expression sharpened. "Yes," Samuel said. "Tell us." The doctor's eyes flickered between them, seeing not wealth and poverty, but two people bound by fear and hope. "There's good news," he began. Ethan held his breath. "And something we need to address immediately." The room stilled. Ethan's fingers tightened around Lily's hand. Samuel's jaw clenched. "What is it?" Ethan whispered. The doctor opened the file slowly, gravely, and the world seemed to hold its breath alongside them. The doctor's brows drew together as he scanned the chart, the fluorescent lights above humming like anxious insects. Ethan's breath paused in his chest, his fingers gripping the railing of Lily's bed as if he could hold both his sister and fate in place through sheer will. "There's good news," the doctor repeated, meeting Ethan's eyes first. Lily responded well to the initial treatment. Her oxygen levels improved overnight, and the infection is reacting to antibiotics. Ethan's chest hitched with relief. His knees threatened to give. She was fighting. She was still here, but... The doctor continued, voice dipping into a gentler register. "Her respiratory infection is severe, and scans show complications. We've detected fluid buildup, and there are concerns about damage if treatment isn't aggressive and continuous. She'll need extended care and monitoring." Ethan froze. The butt felt like a trapdoor opening beneath him. Samuel spoke before panic could swallow the boy. "Do whatever is necessary. Full respiratory care, 24-hour monitoring, specialist oversight." The doctor nodded. "We already started, but the next few days are critical. It could go either way." Ethan swallowed, throat tight. "She'll make it," he whispered, like a prayer, a vow, a dare to the universe. "She has to." The doctor gave a small nod of cautious encouragement and left. Silence returned, thick and trembling. Ethan sank into his chair, his small frame wrapped in oversized fear. Why does life do this? He didn't look at Samuel. He stared at Lily, the only piece of his world he refused to let crumble. Why take good people? Why make kids suffer? Samuel stood still, the weight of years settling on his shoulders. "It doesn't take only the bad ones," he said quietly. "Life doesn't choose who to hurt. It just hurts." Ethan didn't argue. Some truths didn't need sharpening, they were blades already. A soft knock echoed. A nurse brought broth and crackers for Ethan. "Eat a bit," she urged. "She'll need you strong." He nodded, though his appetite was as faint as Lily's breaths hours before. Samuel's phone buzzed. Bored messages, urgent texts, meetings begging for his presence. He silenced it, pocketing it without a glance. The world could wait. "You haven't gone to your meetings," Ethan said softly, almost apologetic. "You don't need to stay." Samuel's jaw tightened ever so slightly. "I am exactly where I need to be right now." Ethan stared at him, unsure how someone so powerful could speak like that, with weight, with quiet truth, without needing to raise his voice to prove a thing. "But your job, this is more important than my job," Samuel replied. "People who lead and never remember what they lead for lose their humanity." Those words landed somewhere deep in Ethan's chest, stirring something like admiration, like safety he hadn't felt in so long. A moment passed before Ethan asked the question that had been burning ever since the revelation. "What happened to you? Why do you look at her like you're scared too? Samuel's throat worked. His gaze drifted not away but backward to a time only memory could reach. My daughter, he said finally. The room seemed to still around those words. She was 8. Like Lily. Ethan's breath caught. A sudden illness. Samuel continued, voice low but steady. We did everything. Every test, every doctor, every machine. Money wasn't the barrier. But time was, and time doesn't bargain. His voice cracked, not loudly, but like something old and broken had just been touched again. I held her hand, Samuel whispered, and promised I'd fix it. But I couldn't. A silence full of ghosts settled between them. Ethan's eyes stung not from pity but from understanding. Loss was a language he knew well, different but kin to his own. I'm sorry, Ethan whispered. I wish someone saved her. Samuel's lashes lowered. So do I. Lily stirred faintly, a soft breath catching. Ethan leaned forward instantly, protective instinct blazing. I'm right here, Lil. I won't leave you. Samuel watched him, admiration and ache weaving in his gaze. Love like yours, he murmured, is rare. It's all I have, Ethan breathed. I don't have anything else to give her but love. That, Samuel said, voice firm, makes you richer than most men. Ethan looked at him. Really looked. Not at a wealthy hospital owner. Not at a powerful man. At a grieving father trying to rewrite fate through someone else's miracle. Will she make it? Ethan whispered again, smaller this time, younger. We fight, Samuel replied. Together. We don't stop fighting. Tears slipped down Ethan's cheeks, not loud, not dramatic, just quiet rivers of hope and fear. Okay, he nodded. Okay. Footsteps approached, the doctor again. We're moving her to pediatric ICU for closer monitoring. Samuel placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder. We go with her. Ethan nodded, wiping his face with the back of his sleeve, standing straighter, braver. As they walked beside Lily's rolling bed, Ethan whispered, I won't fail you. I'm here, Lily, always. Samuel walked on the other side, silent vow in every step. 2 worlds, 2 heartbreaks, 1 fight. And fate, watching, began to turn its page toward what would come next. The pediatric ICU glowed in a soft, dim light, a world where every second breathed hope and fear in equal measure. The steady hum of monitors, the soft beeps charting fragile life, and the faint scent of disinfectant formed a cocoon around Lily's small frame. Tubes, wires, and warmth blankets surrounded her like an army fighting on her behalf. Ethan sat beside her, fingers woven through hers, thumb gently stroking her knuckles. His voice was barely a whisper, a trembling lullaby. I'm right here, Lily, just like I promised. You're not alone. Please keep fighting. His eyes were red, swollen from sleepless hours and fear that clung to him like a shadow. He hadn't eaten again. He hadn't stood. His world was this bedside. Breath to breath. Heartbeat to heartbeat. Samuel stood near the window, hands loosely in his pockets, staring out at the city waking up, a world busy with schedules and noise, unaware that the most important battle in this hospital wasn't happening in a boardroom, but in the fragile rise and fall of a little girl's chest. A quiet knock. The doctor entered with 2 nurses. Ethan leapt up instantly, panic flashing. What happened? She's okay, right? She's stable, the doctor assured. We're just checking vitals and updating her medications. Ethan sagged back, relieved. Samuel exhaled too, though his expression remained composed, controlled, a practiced mask over a heart that was fighting memories and hope simultaneously. While the medical team worked, Samuel approached Ethan. You need food, he said gently, nodding toward the untouched meal tray. Or sleep. Ethan shook his head hard. If I sleep, she might need me. If I leave, you won't fail her by breathing. Samuel interrupted softly. You failing would be abandoning yourself. Ethan's lip trembled. Everything bad that's ever happened. I wasn't there. I can't let that happen again. You were there, Samuel said, when nobody else was. You brought her here. You stayed. You fought. That is courage. Not leaving her side isn't what saves her. Loving her is. And you've done that more fiercely than anyone I've ever seen. Ethan blinked, stunned by words he'd never heard spoken over him. I don't know how to do anything else. That's enough, Samuel whispered. Sometimes love is the treatment. Before Ethan could respond, Lily's monitor beeped, a sudden spike in her heart rate. Ethan shot up, panic gripping him. Lily? Nurses rushed in. The doctor followed. For a moment, chaos danced. hands moving swiftly, medical terms sharp in the air. Samuel felt the old terror grip him like iron claws. The memory of his daughter's last moments clawed at his mind. He reached for the wall, steadying himself, jaw tight, breath unsteady. Ethan hovered helplessly. "Do something, please!" "Her body's reacting," a nurse said gently. "Sometimes patients spike as they start to recover. It's not always bad." The spike steadied. The beeps slowed. Lily's breathing eased again. Ethan crumpled into his chair, sobbing in quiet relief. Samuel pressed his hand briefly to his face, forcing his grief back where it lived. Minutes passed before Ethan's trembling voice broke the silence. "I thought I lost her." "I know," Samuel whispered. Ethan looked at him with a raw, broken honesty only pain can carve into someone. "How do people survive this kind of fear?" Samuel held his gaze. "Not everyone does, but those who do it because love anchors them." Ethan swallowed hard. "Does it ever stop hurting?" Samuel stared at Lily as though seeing two children at once, one fighting to live, one forever frozen in memory. "No, but it teaches you to fight harder for those you can still save." Ethan let those words settle inside him like a fragile seed of strength. Hours passed. The afternoon sun softened. Lily stirred, her eyelids fluttering open for a fragile second. Ethan," she whispered, voice thin as tissue. Ethan gasped, leaning over her, tears falling fast. "Lily, I'm here." "I'm right here." Her fingers squeezed his weakly. "Don't cry." He laughed through tears. "I'm just happy, dummy." She gave the faintest smile, then drifted back to sleep. Peaceful this time, not struggling. The doctor smiled gently. "She's turning the corner. We keep the treatments going, but she's winning." Ethan's knees hit the floor. He bowed his head, whispering thank yous. To God, the universe, anyone who would listen. Samuel turned, jaw tight, eyes shining with an emotion he didn't hide this time. Relief so sharp it bordered on pain. Then he said softly, "She's going to live, Ethan." The boy looked at him, voice cracking. "We did it." "No," Samuel corrected, kneeling beside him. "You did it. Your love did." Ethan shook his head. "I didn't do it alone." Samuel reached out, resting a hand on the boy's shoulder, not as a benefactor, not as a hospital owner, but as a man who understood the sacred weight of saving someone you love. "You gave me a purpose again," he whispered. "You gave me the chance to be who I wished I could have been before. Thank you." Ethan's tears flowed harder, not from pain now, but from gratitude that felt too big for his small body. "I won't forget what you did," he whispered. "Ever. And I won't forget what you reminded me," Samuel replied, "that even in loss we are not done. We can still save someone." They looked at Lily, breathing gently, peacefully. Two worlds, stitched together by a single fragile life and a love stronger than circumstance. Not charity, not pity, but humanity. And in that quiet ICU room, hope didn't whisper. It lived.